Here we go.
Get ready, get set for the best movie and pop culture talk in the universe. It's the Good Brothers on Mercado Airwaves with your hosts, Alex Mercado and Mike Mercado.
Welcome back to another episode of the Good Brothers. I'm Alex, that's Mike. We are the Good Brothers, the best brothers. We are the middleman between LA, New York. We will handle it here in the greatest city on earth, Chicago, Illinois. Mike, say hi to the folks.
Hi, folks. Mike. Good brother. How you doing, my man?
I'm good. I'm sleeping a lot better. We're back. Obviously, we felt it necessary to take the week and let the, things to do. I had bigger things to do. Our political duty into voting. You were doing a lot of coverage. Good for you. We're very proud of you here at the network. So it's fun to be back, though. It's fun to take a breath and be like, okay, we can talk a little bit about movies now. Like, we can kind of get back to a little normalcy.
And we invite everybody from all walks of life to join us. It was a crazy week, a crazy time. But, of course, this is a safe haven because we're going to talk all the fun stuff and sometimes the sad stuff of the entertainment world. And it is always our pleasure to be bestowed that honor that you listen to these two knuckleheads talk about this stuff and missed all the craziness. If you want to dive into the political stuff, you could check me out all over the universe where we posted our stuff. And I actually posted up the 6 hours I was on the radio down to an hour and a half, so you guys could check that out and enjoy it. But good brother, today we have some stuff we need to talk about this week, allowing people to just stew in the craziness that was last week.
Like, no one was watching anything else. We're big into fantasy, a lot of money involved. Mike's a big gambler. Mike likes to play the odds. And we forgot there was a Thursday night game. Yeah. We're like, oh, yeah.
Which I picked correctly still, so I'm happy about myself.
You kind of just threw a pencil in.
I still picked it right. But with that, there was some news that came out of it, and we're going to hit on it. And the first one we'll do is this is going to be a two-parter. We didn't get a chance last week to talk about it. And, of course, leading into this week, some other news was dropped. In the entertainment world, we lost two legends. Last week, the one and only Sean Connery. And just yesterday, we are recording this on Wednesday, November 11th, 2020. We lost Jeopardy's own, the world's own, Alex Trebek at the age of 80. Both men leaving a legacy in two different mediums, but somehow affected all generations for so much time. Great losses, but great men. Complications on both sides, just like anybody who gets to see the ages that these two men got to see. And I think all in all, what we learned yesterday is how important some figures really are to people's childhoods, to people's just day-to-day lives, the normalcy that it is, and the connection that Sean Connery and Alex Trebek have without ever really having it due to Saturday Night Live. Really goes to show just their impact to the culture, to all culture, and we lost both men. Good brother, your thoughts?
So I'll start with Sean Connery. I knew him more later in life for his later roles like Highlander, Indy's Father, and League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which was his last film. The SNL parodies were always great. He was awesome. Like, he had the best voice. That moment where he's talking to Indy about letting it go, that always gets me. I love that scene.
Junior.
Yeah, even League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, I love those kind of movies like that. And then Housing, when they came out, were definitely toward a middle generation like us who wasn't necessarily paying, so they didn't make a lot of money. But we were watching these B movies and really enjoying them, and he was a big part of it.
Yeah.
So he'll definitely be missed. I mean, he's the James Bond. I don't love those old James Bond. I think Daniel Craig's are much better, but I still believe Sean Connery might be the best James Bond, regardless of the movies, just of what he built. To live that long, to die in your home with your family, we should all be so lucky. Alex Trebek was a hard one. I think, again, not age-wise. Obviously, these men lived great, beautiful, long lives. I think we all just assumed he was going to beat this a little longer. I just think maybe we were going to see him leave Jeopardy, get out of the zeitgeist, get out of the eye of America, and then kind of slowly to see it happen. He was still filming. His last episode will come out December 25th.
Christmas Day. Yep.
A nice Christmas one. We all grew up with him. When we were done watching certain shows, Jeopardy would come on. And even as you understand everything, you would have to get one question and be like, oh, I know what that is. Which popular kids show involves 5 teenagers? You're like, oh, the Power Rangers. I knew that one. And you'd be excited. And his calming voice was the voice of multiple generations. This is something beyond a single person. This is someone that raised generation after generation. And people to this day still take Jeopardy so seriously and truly enjoy it. So it's 2 tough losses. I'm interested to see that last episode. I think a lot of people are going to be interested to see that. People who don't watch Jeopardy even nowadays, I mean,
we'll watch that episode.
We'll watch that episode.
Yeah. So with that, our condolences to the family, friends, and of course the fan bases of both men who leave a huge footprint and legacy in their respective industries. Good brother, we have to jump into the mud. Johnny Depp has been dropped by Warner Brothers in the new Fantastic Beasts movie. This comes after the trial in Europe with the son going the direction of the son instead of Johnny Depp. I think a lot of people thought it was going to go Johnny Depp's direction. There was some momentum swinging that way, it seemed like. And I'm not too familiar with all of the court casing and everything that was going on. This is what happens when you start messing with people's personal life and people's relationship and things are dirty and whatnot. Either way, we get into that if you want to, but really fast. Warner Brothers leaving and just losing their guy. They're going to pay him out all his money and saying, get away from Fantastic Beasts.
He had a sort of pay-to-play sort of thing.
And now they're talking about bringing in Mads Mikkelsen to replace him in the role. But in a weird way, Warner Brothers decides, yeah, we're cool with Ezra. We're cool with JK. But we have a problem with Johnny Depp.
And here's the issue, because I've done actually a lot of research in this. I've gone to a couple of different outlets and podcasters, YouTubers. And the gist is this, where a big company like Warner Brothers, let's be real, and if nothing had come up in court, nothing would have happened. Because you're just guilty by the public eye. Public eye don't pay the bills. No offense.
Right.
That's why you see Amber Heard's done, Ezra Miller's done. Here's the issue. So the Sun came out with the Amber Heard story. Johnny Depp decided to sue them because of...
they call him a woman abuser, a wife abuser.
They call him for... what's the word I'm thinking
Domestic abuse.
What's the word?
Defamation.
Defamation of character. So he was suing them over that. The problem is now, him bringing it to the light, the court decided, and this is a European court, this isn't an American court, he still has his day in court here, decided, no, the evidence we've seen, most of this seems true, your suit doesn't count. Had he never brought up that suit, he'd still be working on the film. It's the fact that he already got found guilty in one court, which is going to tend to lean, he most likely is going to get found guilty in the American court system.
Yeah.
They had no choice. Ezra Miller, yeah, that was probably hushed up for a reason. And regardless, if you believe the story, that's his friend and they were joking around. Regardless, that got hushed up already. And they obviously have shown you that they don't plan to bring it up. The Amber Heard thing still has to go to court. So until that's an official thing, why are they going to remove her? It comes down to these are corporations that at the end of the day are dealing with millions of dollars. Because right now, guess what happened? Johnny Depp filmed the scene for this film. They have to pay him his contract. So they paid him all this money to do nothing, to sit at home. And you have audience members out there saying, well, if you're going to pay him anyway, can't he just be in the movie? That's not how it works.
That's not how
it works.
Corporation
exactly.
Works. Yeah. Now, the
whole series is troublesome, by the way.
Yeah.
All Harry Potter, from J.K. Rowling to Ezra Miller now to this. I'm like, it all just seems very troubling.
It's not going in the right direction.
And who's watching these movies? Like, even a hardcore fan like Nicole doesn't enjoy these movies.
Well, I mean, she enjoys them for what they are, but they're obviously not the original 8, that came out.
But it's not like the Star Wars prequels or the new trilogy that, no, they're still making $1 billion. We're just divided. No, that's not making a lot of money in comparison to the original Harry Potter films. Everyone behind the scenes seems problematic. And I feel like every film is kind of promising the next one's going to really hit. This one was okay. Oh, well, this one was slightly okay. Okay, the next one is where we're really going to get it down.
I think regardless, they make money for the studios, even if it's not the most, even if it's not making Harry Potter money. I mean, it made in its opening weekend $74 million. Its total gross $23 million. So, and then the Crimes of Grindelwald, which was the sequel, made $159 million. On a production of $200 million. So, I mean, yeah, they're not making all of that money.
Exactly.
Worldwide, it did make the first one made $814 million. The second one made $654 million.
But you wouldn't see a Star Wars movie beside Solo not make $1 billion. Just
sure.
Like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Those are usually, you're like, no, we're going to make $1 billion here. Or like a Jurassic Park movie.
Thoughts on Mads Mikkelsen being looked at into the series?
I've only seen these films one time each. I kind of want them to bring Colin Farrell back and just make it a sort of like, and I know that's the popular theory, just like Sherry becoming Black Panther.
But he's filming.
It's a nice, safe thing.
Yeah, but he's filming right now his stuff. Although I would assume, again, the Rona changes everything because the scheduling just be pushed back. So we don't know when Batman's ever going to be finished filming.
Exactly.
So with that, we'll keep our eye on this story. The Johnny Depp and Amber Heard thing is crazy.
It's so messy.
Yeah,
man.
and like I'm not gonna comment on it because I just think people's Hollywood business like this is just so run through the tablets. I don't know what's real and what's not real.
It's not our job to say what's real or not. It's our job to say, well, this is why the studio did what they did, and these are the facts that we've gotten. We're not even saying he's guilty. The court didn't say he was guilty. They're saying, no, like you want to say they ruined or they
defamed you.
Yeah, but they did. But some of this is true. So,
which is very interesting. We'll see how it all plays out here in the States. Good, brother. It's a big week coming up. Today is the release of Xbox. We get to see the games and the new era of video gaming come out. Next week, the PlayStation 5 comes out. Obviously, if you're listening to this, you've seen the viral videos of the smoking
fake
Xbox,
news.
which is fake. I am actually watching a video right now of how it's done, how you can just blow behind it and make your own little vape machine with it. But with that, we do have 2 new generations of video game systems. I actually seem to feel, at least from what the communities are saying, from what the average person is saying, people are actually kind of hyped, not as much as, let's say, 3 generations ago when it was still like the thing to do. I think people are really excited about the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S because they sound like definitive new generation systems. They sound like new systems.
Yeah, and especially with the Xbox where they had such, like, I was watching a few videos of how bad Xbox One's launch was and how rough they've really had it. And it's taken them such a long time to set themselves up for this modern system. So they've worked very hard. I hope it works out. I'm one of those people where I'm like, man, you kind of did lose me during that Xbox One phase because of how bad it was. The titles weren't great. The launch was really bad. It's almost turned me into a PS5 guy going forward. And that sucks because I grew up, when it comes to between those two, always an Xbox.
Yeah, I'm going to get both. I'm thinking about, at the very least,
Dibs
getting
on your old one.
I'm thinking about just getting the digital only version of the Xbox, so that way if I want to still build my own PC, it's not crazy much of an investment, and I could just resell the Xbox. But I'm definitely going to buy a PlayStation 5. I'm super excited for Miles Morales. I will be playing that in just a couple of days when it comes in. I'm actually splitting that with Super Mercado Bro Marcos. We are splitting an actual real-life copy of it for the PlayStation 4, but if I get the PlayStation 5 before the holiday season, I'll replay it there. So I'm super excited about it. I love when a new system comes out. They aren't doing in-store pickups right now.
No.
Everything is being sent out, and I think people were worried about the moving forward of coronavirus and these systems coming out and how they were going to distribute them. I think Sony and Xbox are going to be just fine when it comes to
I actually had a buddy that picked up the Xbox, and he said the same thing. Like, he went to the store days before to get something, and they said, no, it's here. They're like, it's here, but you can't pick it up here.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very interesting and funny. But it did get to him.
And I think that's the wave of the future. While it doesn't, aesthetically speaking, look great on promo videos and when you're doing quick shots and B-roll and whatnot, I think moving forward, this is a way to release products like this. I think the phone industry could take something from this where it's a way where everybody gets your product, but you're still building demand for it. Mm-hmm. So, like, you're never going to run out of stock with it, but you're also not necessarily just giving all of them away. Yeah. So you get a little bit of both. You get to have that marketing, but you also get the consumer to be happy with it. At least that's how I feel it's happening with this generation of system. I feel like if I really wanted to try to get one, I could get my hands on one.
Well, I already got like 7 people on Snapchat saying, hey, got an extra Xbox. Who wants it? Like, gonna sell it at a profit at this point.
Now, here's the thing. I do think people who do that are kind of garbage.
I do too, because I'm like, you're gonna, like, I can probably, well, first of all, don't buy it then. Like, wait the 2 weeks and buy it for less than you were gonna pay this off-market person.
Yeah, I would wait in that case. I think, like, it's one thing to flip tickets for a couple extra bucks, but like it's another thing to buy like shoes or a video game system.
Look at the like 3DS was the last big one where people were buying because the price was so cheap. They were buying like 5 of them and still making a profit. And Rick and Morty did a good parody of it, and it was true where people do go out and buy anything that's in high demand. Even Cabbage Patch dolls back in the day, you'd buy 4 of them and then you'd sell 3 of them and keep 1, or you'd sell 2 and keep 1 in mint condition and 1 like this. So this has always been kind of part of the hustle of the consumer.
Yeah.
I'm with you. It's kind of scummy.
Comic books. You do it all.
Yep.
People do it all the time with comic books. Trading cards. I mean, it's
anything that's collectible or that's
pop figures
in high demand. Exactly. They're
double
going to buy in bulk.
Yeah.
Yep. Let me get 2 of them.
You always get 2.
You've done it with pop figures where you're
yeah.
well, but you've done it more in a sense of, well, I want 1 for me and 1 to hang up.
Yeah, and like it's and again,
Or
like
1 for Alex.
I don't resell. Like I don't like this idea of reselling things. Like maybe down the road, if there's value in something that I own out of just like coolness over years, like that's one thing. But I don't buy things with the idea of like I'm going to resell this in 2 weeks.
Yeah, like I'm going to turn a profit on this.
There's a big difference. I don't have that in me when it comes to stuff like that. I feel there is a juju to the universe that doesn't go well for people like that. But we'll keep our eyes on it. I'm super excited to see how the next generation of video game system really touches this era of consumer. Good brother, finally, we jump into the world of sports and entertainment. We just had Full Gear, and we're moving towards Survivor Series. Very interesting. Survivor Series just feels like a lot of the same and a holding pattern until we get to move the story forward. And then Full Gear, a lot of things kind of came to an end and a lot of things moved forward. You know how I feel about AEW. It's not my favorite of wrestling. I do think people give it a hard time very easily. I also think people praise it very easily. But I did think, for the most part, there was a lot of stuff I did like in Full Gear. I don't like everything I've seen in WWE recently. What are your thoughts about both worlds right now?
I'm mad that I loved Survivor Series last year, but I think it was because NXT was involved in it, and that was very fun.
And it was in our hometown.
And we were here for it, so like that, I'll give it that bias. But I do think adding NXT made it a lot more fun going throughout, and we had way more fun Raw and SmackDowns. It's a pandemic. What are we going to do? But like, let's take that out of the equation. I'm with you. AEW, to me, they're falling into a pattern of like, well, I get like, you talked a lot of smack saying you were not going to do WWE style. I'm like, you do seem to do it. And no offense, I'm like, NXT's still killing you in view. Not NXT. SmackDown's a fantastic wrestling show.
Yeah.
SmackDown is. Raw's a little rough. Raw will give you a nice hour. It's still Monday Night Raw.
3-hour show.
It's still Monday Night Raw against Monday Night Football and still putting up double the numbers you are. NXT is so, they say it best like this. NXT is probably the best wrestling show of them all. It is the least entertaining show of them all to me. And I do think that's why Pat McAfee's there, and I think he's great. And I think like that's what you really need is characters now, like people that can work. So I'm actually really excited for War Games. That's probably going to be McAfee's crew versus Undisputed. So they're going in the right direction. I think Damian Priest is going to get a heavyweight shot. They're getting there. I think it's a slow build, but we're finally getting back to this like, here are our newer generation of NXT guys. Here we can build off that. AEW, I like Cody Rhodes. I like Cody Rhodes. Now we can call him Rhodes. Mm-hmm. I like a lot. I like Hangman. I do like a lot what they do. I still feel like they have no women's division, which is ridiculous to me. I'm like, nowadays, guys, like, how are you out of those 4 shows? You're 4th in women's division. Like, you talked a lot of smack about that. There's too much tag team. I love tag team wrestling. There is too many tag teams. I watch AEW Dark just to skim through it. Dude, they had 7 tag team matches. I'm like, I don't care if it's the theme of the night. Like, that's too much tag team.
Maybe 2 of them. Like, I'm not gonna shit
FDR and the Young Bucks.
And I'll be honest, and I don't really like either one of them.
No, I liked when Kenny Omega was with Hangman. Yeah. And I kind of like...
Well, I like SCU.
Nah, they're okay.
Like, I don't... See,
the ones I like, I feel like they don't use. Like, the brothers, they didn't use
Lucha Brothers?
The Lucha Brothers. Yeah. I was like, well, they're awesome. Yeah, I like Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin. Like, if I had to pick one thing that I actually enjoyed this weekend, I'm like, it was that.
Yeah.
And that's because Cody Rhodes probably the best promo in the business next to Roman Reigns. And Darby Allin's really cool.
Yeah, totally doing the whole Sting thing right now. You have Cody Rhodes coming out with the entire family, and you have Darby right there by himself, and it was super good.
I love that. You're not the ace. Yeah. I was like, ooh.
It was just a great, they had a great story. I'm interested to see what happens with MJF and if he portrays Jericho at some point.
He's great, too. I want him away from the Jericho thing at this moment because, again, I love Jericho. We're Jericho marks.
Yeah. For the most part.
I feel like I like when wrestlers take a few weeks or months at the time. I like, you know what I like him? Keep him on commentary.
Yeah,
I like him on commentary because he's a Hall of Fame voice. Keep him there. Don't get him involved in so many stories because that Orange Cassidy really ran me dry of like, Jericho, you almost made it uncool for a second there. Like, I like Orange Cassidy and like, you kind of made him a little less cool somehow.
I think for the most part, though, it was a good card. With them having the crowd, there is that difference. You do have that acoustic difference between it. Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley is going to be interesting. Moxley versus Kingston, the promos are great. The match was So it is what it is. I want to see it moving forward. I want to see what happens when WWE has to get out of the Amway Center. I want to see what they decide to do.
Chicago was an option at first.
I don't know what's going to be an option in about 2 weeks, so we'll find out. But
Florida.
Florida again. But with that, good brother, you have any final thoughts on today's episode? We kind of ran the big news and some of the sad stuff, but of course, with COVID-19, everything really is just leading towards this one show. We can get into it right now if you want. Would you like to preview Mandalorian Episode 3, Season 2?
Yeah, we can talk about There's no other news. Umbrella Academy got signed for season 3. Congrats to them. Wonder Woman still has yet to push. There's early rumors that they still might make that last-ditch effort.
We'll find out.
We truly don't believe that. We think it will get pushed to next year. They're just waiting on it. Depth and Denial and one other film from Warner Brothers also got moved right around that time. Free Guy.
You know which one looks kind of fun is the one with Vince Vaughn? Where he's
the
Freaky
little
Friday
indie
win
from Blumhouse.
Yeah,
that does look good.
That looks fun.
Yeah.
So
that's all movie news. So there's really beside the stuff we talked about, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Yeah. That's about it.
Yeah.
For that.
So in the news and notes, I think that's pretty much it. So we could gush a little bit about Mando.
How'd you like episode 2?
I thought maybe not as great of an episode as obviously the season premiere, but I mean we got so much Baby Yoda, and I love the ending chase scene. I love the introduction of the squadron. So like to me, I loved it. What did you think?
So it came out that it was the third lowest ranking episode at a 79, which is kind of amazing to a show where it's like
I can see it though.
That's your lowest.
I can see it.
The first being The Bounty, which is the Hey Mando. Again. When your lowest thing is a 79, you're like, that show's pretty good if like they're still averaging a B- on their worst episode. So I think that's interesting. The other one was the one with Cara Dune and they defend the little village. I don't know why people don't like that.
Really?
I love that episode.
That to me is like,
but again, we're talking about 80% people. We're talking about like very high scoring things.
Well, like that's interesting because that is such to me a microcosm of that show. Is like them in that village and like Yoda playing with the kids and like even you have Gina Carano who doesn't want to be part of it and like I thought it was just.
I love that episode. It's one of my favorites.
It's one of my favorites.
But like I said, we're talking about they're all passing grade, so that's great. Most shows don't get episodes like that. The shows you see like that are like
what you think about him eating the eggs?
He's a baby, y'all. He doesn't know any better.
But here's the thing, though. I love this connection. So. A lot of people had this thought at first when he's touching the tank thinking that
he's going to help him hatch.
Because he's the life force, right?
Yeah, he can help animals.
I didn't even think about it until I heard somebody mention it. What is she?
She's a fish.
No, she's a frog.
Oh, she's a frog, yeah.
And what does Baby Yoda?
He
loves to eat frogs. So obviously it makes sense why he was so obsessed with those eggs.
Well, look at Yoda. Yoda stood on Dagobah, and people were like, yeah, maybe it wasn't a chill. Maybe it's because he had a lot of food around Dagobah. Like, this is, and we look back at Yoda, and Harloff put it really good of, like, this is a mischievous crew. Like, we've always known Yoda to be kind of, like, cheeky and mischievous and, like, dicking around. So Baby Yoda, if he's the same species or even a clone that we might think, like,
interesting,
he might be a clone of Yoda in some DNA. First of all, he's a baby. Can you yell at a cheer, hey, don't touch that, and they still touch it? Yeah, he's a baby.
How many did you eat?
Like, some people are like, it's genocide. I'm like, he's a baby.
No, he definitely, like, almost killed an entire species.
Okay, of course he did, but it's not his fault. He doesn't know any better. He's just eating.
Oh, he's so
I
funny.
love the last part where he just turns around and pops one last egg in
the
it.
last one, yeah.
And the mom's like, oh.
Yeah, okay. That she's hiding it. I do like that they let her hatch more, though, like, make more in that little...
She didn't make more. Those were them. She was keeping them warm.
Oh.
Those are, because that's her last cycle.
Oh, I thought
she was just keeping them warm.
Okay, I thought she was making more. Okay,
because they have a temperature check on the thing.
That's a very cool little touch that they did then.
Yeah, she was keeping them warm and putting them. That's where he got an extra one. That's why he kept reaching.
I couldn't stop though when he was like, "How many did you eat?" It's just like the little.
I like the jetpack. Like their relationship. That's why I like this episode.
No, this was a dad episode.
I'm like, I get it. Where we want to find. Guys, we're going 3 seasons. We're not going to find out where all the rest of the Mandalorians and what's this baby. I don't want to know that all. Like,
no.
I want one big secret a season, probably. Like, give me 1 or 2. We're about to get Sasha Banks in this next episode.
I just want to enjoy the ride.
And I did. And I'm like, we saw X-Wing fighters, and that was cool. And these big old spiders. I'm like, that's fun.
What I loved about this episode,
just how the baby run to him like.
that Peyton Reed did in this episode was
Doctor Strange.
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man. Isn't he going to direct the new Doctor Strange?
No, that the new Doctor Strange is going to Scott Derrickson.
Okay.
I love when you have the two X-Wings, and it kind of felt like cops.
Yeah.
Like it was like a police thing. And then
I'll get right on that.
But my favorite part is all of a sudden the X-Wings open.
And he's
like, oh no, here we go. It starts. So I love that one.
I liked it a lot. And I loved episode 1. So like I'm liking this season a lot. I think this next one we're going to get a little more info, and that's how it should be.
Well, I guess then in that, if Sasha Banks is in this next episode, then that means for the first time we're really going to get real Jedi stuff then.
Yeah.
Or introduction to Jedi stuff.
Some sort of thing about either I don't know if she's a Jedi or she's a Mandalorian, but she's something important.
But if we saw her face, she's not a Mandalorian.
Or like she knows where they are. Like she's something important. Says, we saw Boba Fett, so he's still a Mandalorian.
Because he lost his gear, though.
We're going to get into that. Like maybe we're not living by these old oaths anymore. Maybe we're going to be a little more lenient about some of these going forward. I don't think so.
Unless they really want to keep Pedro Pascal and they're like, yeah, you know what? We will show your face a little bit more often.
I totally forgot we saw his face in season 1 until I rewatched it.
When?
With the robot. When the robot has to fix his face, we see it for that one scene. I totally I totally forgot. It's when he's
Taika scene
when the robot takes off he's like, I have to take your helmet to fix you. Yeah. And he does.
And what does Mando say? He's like, I guess the robot convinced him because he's like, I'm not a real
he's not a human. Yeah. Like, no human can see my face. He's like, well, I'm not a human.
Very interesting.
And you do see Pedro Pascal. I totally forgot that. Honestly, I forgot also.
Yeah, I love it. We were just talking about this off air, and we got like another minute that we could kill for this because I just love Mandalorian. It's pure television, pure awesome television. I will be binging Supernatural because the series finale is coming in just about a week and a half. So
carry on my wayward son.
We will see how Baby finally comes to an end. The car of all dream cars, the Impala.
Is this show any good stuff?
I don't know. Who cares? So we ran Justin Ankles in The Boys.
Walker came out with a little snippet too. They were filming that.
Also fantastic.
I heard it got signed on for a full series and a season 2.
I'm sure it will on the CW. Yeah, I was a little.
I'll check it out.
As a 30-year-old man who's eventually going to become a Republican after I have children and a house, I was wondering. I really want to start watching CBS. I need a reason to, and it would have been nice for it to have been Jared Padalecki.
When's the last time you watched CBS? Was what?
For football?
How I Met Your Mother?
And football on Sundays. Yeah. That's literally it. So, it's great to see them. But with that, Mandalorian is such a great thing. But we were talking about it. Now we only have another minute left to BS on it. The aesthetic of it, I love how the show looks. We were talking about Boba Fett and Mando. When it comes to like rocking gear, obviously it's easy to rock Baby Yoda stuff. But is it more fun to rock Mando or Boba Fett stuff, in your opinion?
Boba Fett's got more colors, like the nice reds, the greens, the browns. Mando obviously has a nice slicker uniform. It's more modernized. So I guess it depends on your taste. I like both. It's like a stormtrooper. I liked the modern or the old stormtroopers, the classic. I also liked when they did Clone Wars style and there's like some reds in there and some blues. I love the red stormtroopers that we got in the modern series.
But here's the difference I think about stormtroopers to Boba Fett and Mandalorians. So with stormtroopers, they look like Imperial soldiers. They look like Nazi soldiers. Yeah. I can't get that stigma out of my mind. Opposed to a Mandalorian where I can trick myself and be like, no, this is a cool desperado or a cool Navajo, Navajo Indian.
A Knight of Arthur.
Yes, like anything, like literally generations of warrior from every... Yeah. He's a Viking. He's just the modern
like the Knights of Ren, kind of.
He's whoever your nationality's warrior is. Mm-hmm. That's what a Mandalorian is. Even though they're a bad guy. Like, Boba Fett was a bad guy, but like...
Was he, though?
I mean, Jango Fett was a bad guy.
Jango was a bad guy. Yeah. Jango was bad.
Yeah.
But Boba Fett was just a bounty hunter going after another. Like, remember, at the end of the day, he was working for a boss. He's a bounty hunter. Han Solo was a bounty hunter, too. His boss just happened to be Princess Leia eventually. So I don't like that stigma, but Boba was a bad guy. I'm like, no, Boba was a bounty hunter. He happened to work for the Hutts. The Hutts were going against Han Solo and the people he was working for. Of course, they were enemies, and like, we don't like him because he's going against our boy Han Solo. But it's kind of like Walter and Gus. It's like they're both monsters, but no offense, Gus was kind of leaving people alone before Walt came along. Like, Gus was kind of running as non-violent organization until Walter came.
But what's funny is the one thing they did show on this episode was we are finding his standing in the universe. We now do know where
It's got some cred.
where Mando stands when it comes to the Empire and the Republic, and just like the rebellion.
He's gonna be a good guy.
At the end of it, yes.
I
much
want him.
more.
I want them to make him some sort of like Jedi.
Did we get a lot of Mandalorian stuff in the new trilogy?
None.
So they do have room to do something
There's
with
a
that
whole
movie.
separate universe, and now we're gonna involve Ahsoka Tano with Rosario Dawson later. So like,
Interesting.
I'm interested. And they talk about a spinoff female-led Jedi series coming up.
We
like,
got
that they're in
Obi-Wan
very early productions
coming on the way
Obi-Wan
finally.
with 6 episodes. That's gonna be
So-
interesting.
Maybe we all get connected at some point.
I hope so.
I keep telling you about
TV's
this.
where it's at right
I
now.
keep
for
telling
Star
you.
Wars.
We'll find out though. But with that, good brother, now we've come to the end of
now.
this episode. Thank you guys so much for making us a part of your day. Follow us all over the socials, all the garbage. He's on Instagram at Mercado2121. I'm on Instagram, Mike Mercado Media. We're both on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media. He's on Twitter at Mercado21 Alex. The show's on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. We're on Teespring. Teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. It's holiday season. Buy some swag.
When in doubt, mark it up.
Teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. Patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. The home to our interviews with celebrities that you can get ad-free and before anybody else. That's Patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We will see you next time here on The Good Brothers on the Mercado Airwaves
Network. This is the way.
Thanks for joining us here on The Good Brothers, here on Mercado Airwaves.